Hey everyone, Dr. Anthony here. Um, I'd like to be vulnerable with you for a second. Um, Something that only really close friends of mine know, and maybe people that I grew up with many years ago. I just came off of an amazing class called the X-Men class that was put on by Gary Douglas and Diva Diaz, and it was really about those of us who never done a good job fitting into like the system of this reality, whether it was the school system or just fit your status quo of what was supposed to make you acceptable to the society or in this reality, or what the things that measured your intelligence and the things that sort of yeah, measured how successful you may be in the future. Because all those things, I pretty much like flunked a lot of those things, or I always scored at like the low end of the spectrum on those sorts of things. And so I want to talk to you about Room 12. Room 12 was this room in middle school that they used to send me to where there was only like three other kids in the room. And and if you happen to be one of those kids watching this, hopefully it didn't scar you as much as it scarred me. Uh, but there were certain kids in that class that were significantly slower than myself, and you would say in some cases mentally handicapped, and so what does that create for someone like me, for example, was like, wow, is that where I'm functioning from? And because I had done so poorly on tests and didn't really seem to be keeping up with my peers, and um, you know, was always put in special classrooms, and so I was like, wow, is that what my level of intelligence is? Am I slow in that way? And so for many years, I bought that as my reality. And even now, more than 30 years later, in some circumstances, I find myself going back to, feeling inadequate, less than, uh, not exceeding in ways that I think I should be exceeding. And so it's something that I've had to struggle with throughout my life. And so when I finally got old enough to realize that I just have a different way of learning, as those kids had a different way of learning, and that the system is not necessarily geared for special people, if you will. And so this X-Men class changed my entire life. And one of the things Gary talked about in the class, and if I haven't mentioned Diva Diaz, she was also the facilitator as well, and she did an amazing job. But one of the things that they mentioned was the energy of you as a miracle. Now, being a chiropractor, I know and I love and I revere the human body, okay? And the human body in and of itself is a walking miracle. And it's like inside our belly, it's like a whole rainforest. We have like enough bacteria in our belly that makes up a whole entire ecosystem, just like an entire rainforest. And like as an adult, we're made up of 7 octillion atoms. Okay, so to give you some perspective, there's only like 300 billion stars in our galaxy. So it's like, I mean, I know that's just about the body, and some of you may get bored with that, but for me, that's pretty cool stuff. But what about your being? Like, we know that the body's a miracle. We know when the sperm meets the egg, it conceives this beautiful, amazing human being. But what about the being? What about the being that animates this body, that moves it in all sorts of different amazing ways? And so it's like a lot of times we forget the energy of us as the miracle that we are. And so what the X-Men class reminded me of was not as just my body a miracle, but me, the infinite being. And that's not measured by any system that this reality has to offer. So, what I'd like to invite you to is to doing this call. It's about 6 to 15 minutes, and it's sort of like a guided meditation, but not really. And it was developed by Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. But it is sort it'll will take you through where you start to access the energy of you as the miracle. And what would that actually create for your future? Once you can tap into and have that awareness of the miracle that you are, not just your body, but you as the infinite being that you are. What would that create for your family? What would that create for your community? And what would that create for the planet? If every single one of you out there can remember the energy of you as a miracle. So come play if it sounds fun for you. And if not, just don't forget that you are a walking miracle. Your body and you as the being. Big hugs to you. Love you.